Ever thought that Japanese housewives could be the unseen titans of global finance? Now that's a question that might make you raise an eyebrow, but believe it or not, it's a reality that's been unfolding for some years now. In the hustle and bustle of Japan's domestic life, a unique phenomenon has been quietly brewing. The term Mrs. Watanabe might not ring a bell, but in the world of finance, it's an identity that carries substantial weight. Japanese brokers coined this term to describe the average Japanese housewife who has taken a plunge into the turbulent waters of currency markets. But how did these women, unassuming as they may appear, get involved in forex trading? Well, it all started in the 90s. With a sluggish economy at home, these housewives sought to supplement their families' incomes. They turned to currency trading, a field traditionally dominated by men in suits, and they did so from the comfort of their homes. These women, armed with a keen sense for reading market trends and an unyielding spirit, began to make their mark. They were not just dabbling. They were orchestrating trades that would make even the most seasoned Wall Street traders take notice. Over time, the collective trading power of these Mrs. Watanabes grew to such an extent that they became a significant force in the market. They were not just participants, they were influencers, swaying the market with their collective decisions. This shift didn't happen overnight. It took years of learning, observing, and most importantly, daring to venture into an unknown realm. It took courage to challenge the status quo, to navigate an area traditionally regarded as a man's world. But these women did it, and they did it with grace and skill. So, who knew that the world's most formidable financial players could be found not in Wall Street, but in the quiet homes of Japan? It's a testament to the power of determination, the strength of the human spirit, and the remarkable ability of these unseen financial titans. How did these everyday housewives become such powerful players in global finance? Well, let's take a step back and examine the economic and cultural climate that led to this unusual phenomenon. Japan, a country known for its low interest rates, has long struggled with the challenge of making money grow. Traditional banking options and savings accounts offered little to no return, leading many to look elsewhere for financial growth opportunities. Enter the world of forex trading, a market that never sleeps, where currencies are bought and sold in the blink of an eye. With the advent of online trading platforms, the world of global finance became accessible to anyone with an internet connection and a bit of starting capital. It was here, in this high-stakes global marketplace, that a new breed of traders began to emerge, the Japanese housewives. But why housewives, you might ask? The answer lies in a cultural shift. For many years, Japanese women have sought ways to assert their financial independence. This desire, coupled with a culture that values careful financial management, created the perfect breeding ground for a new generation of traders. These women, often managing their household's finances, found in forex trading a way to grow their family's wealth while maintaining their roles at home. They took to the trading platforms with gusto, studying market trends, and making calculated decisions that often outperformed professional traders. Yet this was not a reckless pursuit of wealth. These housewives, often referred to as Mrs. Watanabe, approached trading with a level of caution and precision that set them apart. Their conservative trading strategies, often favoring low-risk, steady-growth currencies, became their trademark in the world of forex trading. The housewife trader phenomenon wasn't just about making money. It was a statement, a demonstration of how these women could take control of their financial futures, showing the world that they were not just homemakers, but also formidable financial players. In the face of economic uncertainty, these women took matters into their own hands. What kind of impact are these housewives having on the global financial market? You might ask. Well, let's delve into the world of global finance and see how these women, often referred to as Mrs. Watanabe, are influencing currency trends and making significant market moves. You see, the term Mrs. Watanabe refers to the archetypal Japanese housewife who trades in the foreign exchange market. These women are no ordinary housewives. As the primary managers of family finances, they are savvy, informed, and have a keen eye for potential investment opportunities. The influence of Mrs. Watanabe on global finance is substantial. They are a force to be reckoned with, collectively moving billions of yen in and out of the market daily. Their decisions can cause ripples that affect the global economy. Let's take a look at a few examples. In the mid-2000s, Mrs. Watanabe was credited with driving up the value of the Australian dollar. She saw an opportunity in the high interest rates offered by Australian banks and moved her money there, leading to a surge in demand for the currency. Then there was the carry trade phenomenon, where Mrs. Watanabe would borrow in low-interest rate currencies like the yen and invest in high-interest rate currencies like the Australian dollar or the New Zealand dollar. This strategy was so popular and widespread that it significantly affected the value of these currencies on the global stage. And don't forget the time when Mrs. Watanabe turned her eyes to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The sudden influx of Japanese housewives investing in these digital assets led to a noticeable spike in their value. So, you see, the power of Mrs. Watanabe extends far beyond the confines of her home. She is a formidable player in the global financial market, influencing currency trends and making major market moves. These housewives are not just players in the market, they are movers and shakers. So, what's the secret to Mrs. Watanabe's success, you might wonder? The answer lies not in complex financial instruments or high-risk bets, but in a conservative approach, patience, and a long-term perspective. Unlike the high-speed, high-stakes world of Wall Street, Mrs. Watanabe subscribes to a different philosophy. She doesn't chase after quick profits or gamble on risky ventures. Instead, she takes a measured approach, carefully studying the market and making informed decisions based on solid research. She is not swayed by short-term market fluctuations, but stays true to her long-term investment strategy. One fundamental principle of Mrs. Watanabe's strategy is diversification. Rather than putting all her eggs in one basket, she spreads her investments across different asset classes and geographic regions. This way, she minimizes risk and ensures steady returns over the long term. Another key aspect of Mrs. Watanabe's strategy is patience. In the world of finance, patience is indeed a virtue. She understands that wealth creation is not a sprint, but a marathon. She doesn't panic when the market dips or get overly excited when it surges. She remains calm and composed, trusting in her strategy and waiting patiently for her investments to bear fruit. But perhaps the most important aspect of Mrs. Watanabe's strategy is her conservative approach. She doesn't take unnecessary risks or invest in highly speculative assets. She sticks to proven, reliable investments that offer steady returns over the long term. She may not make a fortune overnight, but she also won't lose her shirt in a market downturn. In essence, Mrs. Watanabe's strategy is about playing it safe, being patient, and thinking long term. It's about understanding the market, making informed decisions, and sticking to a plan. It's not flashy or exciting, but it works, and in the world of finance, that's what really matters. With a savvy approach and steely determination, these women are proving that you don't need a Wall Street background to succeed in finance. What does the future hold for these housewife traders? As we gaze into the crystal ball of financial forecasting, we see a landscape ripe with opportunity for Mrs. Watanabe. With the ever-changing interest rates, the landscape of forex trading is constantly shifting. In Japan, where interest rates have been historically low, the search for higher yields in foreign markets has been the name of the game for these housewife traders. As we move forward, we can expect this trend to continue, especially if domestic interest rates remain low. But what happens if these rates rise? Well, it could mean a shift in strategy for Mrs. Watanabe. Higher interest rates at home could lead to a more domestic focus, but the savvy and adaptable Mrs. Watanabe is sure to navigate these changes with the same finesse and skill that has brought her this far. Let's now turn our attention to the digital realm. The evolution of online trading platforms has been a game changer. User-friendly interfaces, real-time data, and the ability to trade at any time from anywhere have democratized the world of forex trading. As technology continues to evolve, we can expect Mrs. Watanabe to stay ahead of the curve, harnessing the power of these platforms to her advantage. But the influence of Mrs. Watanabe is not confined to forex. Her potential to impact other financial markets is immense. With a proven track record in forex, Mrs. Watanabe could easily venture into stocks, bonds, or even cryptocurrencies. The world of finance is her oyster, and she is poised to make a mark wherever she goes. The future of Mrs. Watanabe is as unpredictable as the market she trades in. But one thing is clear, her influence is growing, her strategies are evolving, and her potential is limitless. As the world of finance continues to evolve, one thing is certain: don't underestimate the power of Mrs. Watanabe. What can we learn from the story of Mrs. Watanabe? Well, folks, the tale of these Japanese housewives who outsmarted global finance is more than just a curious anecdote. It's a testament to the power of the individual, the democratization of finance, and the importance of financial independence. First and foremost, Mrs. Watanabe represents the rise of the individual in the world of finance. These women weren't Wall Street tycoons or Ivy League graduates with a PhD in economics. They were everyday people, armed with an internet connection, a bit of spare time, and a whole lot of determination. Their success challenges the notion that financial markets are the exclusive playground of the rich and powerful. It shows us that, with enough grit and a dash of savvy, anyone can make their mark. The story of Mrs. Watanabe also underscores the democratization of finance. It's a phenomenon that's been growing for a while now, with the rise of online trading platforms, simplified investment tools, and a wealth of financial information available at the click of a button. Mrs. Watanabe is a symbol of this shift, a reminder that finance isn't just for the suited and booted professionals in high-rise buildings, but for anyone with the willingness to learn and the courage to take risks. Which brings us to the third lesson, the importance of financial independence. Mrs. Watanabe wasn't just trading for the thrill of it. They were doing it to secure their futures, to create a safety net in an uncertain world. They took control of their financial destinies, refusing to rely solely on their husband's incomes or the government's social safety net. Their story is a rallying cry for financial self-reliance, a call to take our financial futures into our own hands. In the world of finance, it seems the quiet housewife can indeed roar. And boy, did they ever. The roar of Mrs. Watanabe echoes across global markets, a reminder of the power of the individual, the democratization of finance, and the importance of financial independence. It's an echo we'd all do well to listen to. So, who is Mrs. Watanabe, you may ask? Well, let's recap. Mrs. Watanabe is no one person, but rather, she represents an army of shrewd and savvy Japanese housewives who flipped the script on global finance. These are women who've taken the reins of their household finances, and in doing so, have left a substantial footprint on the world's financial markets. Throughout this video, we've delved into the phenomenon of the housewife trader, an unexpected titan in the world of finance. We've explored how these women, armed with a keen understanding of the markets and a knack for strategic trading, have become a force to be reckoned with. They're not just managing their households, they're managing portfolios, making trades, and shaping global finance in ways that no one could have predicted. We've also taken a look at the strategies that have made Mrs. Watanabe successful. These are not women who are taking wild risks or making impulsive decisions. Rather, they're careful, calculated, and incredibly strategic. They're studying the markets, understanding trends, and making informed decisions that are not just benefiting their families, but are influencing economies on a global scale. As we look to the future, it's clear that the influence of Mrs. Watanabe is not waning. In fact, as more and more women worldwide gain access to financial education and tools, we could see the rise of more Mrs. Watanabes in other parts of the world. This could potentially lead to a more balanced, diverse, and representative global financial landscape, one where the power is not just held by the traditional financial institutions, but is also wielded by individuals managing their household finances. So next time you think about global finance, remember Mrs. Watanabe, a testament to the power of the individual and the unexpected heroes of the financial world.